Blood Bowl is a strategy game based on the board game of the same name, which was produced by Games Workshop. The concept is an interesting one. You assemble a team of fantasy characters to partake in the violent game of Blood Bowl. There are many races to choose from. Orcs, elves and dwarves are all represented here. But there are some other more creative races to play as, such as the demonic Nurgle and the necromancers. Each race has its own advantages and disadvantages. For example, the dwarves are slow but difficult to injure, and the elves are fast and dexterous but rather squishy too. Blood Bowl is obviously inspired by American football. The objective of the game is to get the ball to the opposing team's end of the pitch and score a touchdown. This may sound simple, but Blood Bowl plays differently to how you might expect it to. The game is turn-based, and everything from picking up the ball to moving past an opposing player is determined by a dice roll, and whenever you fail a roll, your turn usually ends. Your rolls can be modified by the type of race you're playing, and that character's individual stats. So if you're playing as orcs, you may find yourself being unable to even pick up the ball due to their poor dexterity. This type of gameplay may put you off at first, but you eventually realise that it adds a lot of depth and it makes the game more intense as a result. As you may have guessed from the title, violence plays a major part in Blood Bowl. Instead of tackling, your team can outright attack the other players, which can cause injury. Some of these injuries can leave permanent damage, reducing that player's effectiveness forever. Some characters can even die in the game. It's frustrating when you spend ages levelling up a character and then he gets a permanent negative modifier from an injury. But it also makes the game more exciting, because it forces you to assess risks more carefully. The game has a nice, colourful art style, the animations look good and each race has a distinct visual style. The two announcers give witty comments on how the match is being played out, which are often humorous.
Today's insight comes from Jaime Schnivel, coach and owner of the Goblin Lowdown Rats team. In yesterday's Spike magazine, he said that Blood Bowl was like war. No winners, just survivors.
Oh, now that's deep. About as deep as his team's position in the rankings.
However, there is little in the way of customization for your team. You can only pick from 2 colours and a pre-made logo to represent your team. This is a little disappointing for a game like this. Each character has individual stats which can be upgraded when they get enough experience. You gain experience by making successful rolls in the game. You can also buy mutations for your players which provide various but other benefits. The RPG element allows you to tailor your team to suit your needs, and it's a great incentive to keep playing because you want to see how powerful your team can get. The single player isn't remarkable. There are a few different modes for you to play with, but nothing groundbreaking. The focus of a game like this is obviously going to be the multiplayer, as it was based on a board game. I'm glad to say that the multiplayer gameplay is done reasonably well. The RPG elements really shine here, as a lower level team cannot take on higher level opponents, so you'll want to keep improving so you can play the best people. However, the lobby system is a bit confusing and it can take a while to get into a game. Blood Bowl is a good game, but it isn't perfect. The learning curve is rather steep and many of the mechanics aren't immediately obvious. It can also be frustrating when you play against a heavy hitting team and end up injuring or killing off some of your players and there's nothing you can really do to stop it. Sometimes it can seem unfair when your player fails to pick up the ball for no reason, but then again, I'm no master at this game and it could be that I haven't figured out the right tactics yet.